I've thought a few times while benchmarking this controller about how I want to start this video. This controller is so good. Oh my god, what the was GameSir thinking about? It's dumb. Full disclaimer, this controller was sent for review. All opinions are my own and they get to see the video at the same time as everybody else. Let's get started. Now this is the Cyclone 2 and usually I jump straight into unboxing, but there's something I need to do with this video. I need to let you know a bit about my process. I've had this controller for about a month. I was supposed to shoot tomorrow and I started benchmarking today. I decided to film this video tonight. And the reality is I haven't played with this controller before benchmarking it. And some people might think, well, you had it for a month. Why did you not use that time to prepare your review? Now, some people do it like that, and I wholeheartedly respect the way that they do it. Here's the reason why I don't. Any tools in the hands of somebody that crafts something, which is the way that I like to think about gaming. We're building something, we're making something. Anyone will get better, whatever the tool it is. So the way that I make my reviews is I analyze a product right out the box, because to me it would almost be insulting to the viewers to think that you could not improve with a product that you use a lot over time. To me, it's guaranteed. It's just the inevitable. So the way that I look at a product is when I open it, how does it feel? How does this controller speaks to me, and how do I believe it will speak to you? And this is the way that I review these products. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is I was shocked. Properly and definitely and debitably, all the blee words, I was shocked. I did not expect the results that I got. Anyways, let's get to the unboxing. The box, the specs behind, we're gonna go over, so I'm not gonna, let's open it. Is of course the controller. Have the Alright, it's a little bit better now, but I guess it's never going to go back to its original sheen. A cable, USB-C to USB-A branded, the manual, their usual thank you brochure, and a GameSir sticker. The dongle, which is the same type that I've talked about with other controllers from GameSir, but that one is a little see-through in terms of the plastic. Let's talk a little bit about specs. You have a 1000 Hertz polling rate wired and using the dongle. You have gyro, but there's a bit of an asterisk. We'll talk about it later during the review. You do have full software support on PC with the GameSir Connect app. You have 2 paddles in the back. They're using TMR sticks, so just a quick breakdown. TMR is basically Hall Effect 2.0. It's the same concept, so it uses magnets. There's very little risks of drift, but it's far more reliable in terms of the behavior of the sticks, the curve, the readings, and also it uses less energy, less current, so technically it should impact positively the lifespan of your battery and the overall duration, but that difference is so small that I hardly ever talk about it, to be honest, but still it's an improvement over Hall Effect. Think of it this way: whenever the implementation is good, it's a TMR sticks that feel like an ALPS stick. If you are familiar with Xbox controllers and Sony PlayStation controllers and how they feel extremely responsive in those sticks, it's because it's ALPS technology, and Hall Effect is historically very good for certain reasons, but there's a lot of things that it doesn't do as well as ALPS. Well, these sticks aim to correct that, so to speak, and while giving you the benefits of Hall Effect. So that's why I'm saying Hall Effect 2.0, but really the exact name is TMR, which stands for Tunnel Magnetic Resonance, if I recall, something like that. If it's not right, someone will type it in the comments. Ergonomics, great. Exactly like an Xbox controller. If you're familiar with the G7 SE, G7 HE, the Khaled Flux, the Khaled other model, the T7, all these controllers from GameSir, they all have the exact same shape. And this is what you have here. This is what you see here. It feels exactly the same in hand. There's no difference. I would say it's definitely the improved version on many aspects. If you know this one, you know the Cyclone 2. Just really think Xbox controller. That's exactly what it feels like. That's exactly the ergonomics that you have here, except of course you have the 2 extra paddles in the back and just overall a very, very pleasant controller to hold. If you think, for example, of the Tarantula Pro that they released a few weeks back, which in my opinion is a phenomenal controller, but it leaves a lot of people being sort of, what's the word? It seems that for the most part there are less people that dislike the Xbox ergonomics, if that makes sense. Now, I'm sure we'll find someone in the comments that will feel different, and that's okay. I'm just saying, I think for the most part, people are a little more familiar with that shape, and this is exactly what you have here. Now, it also has a 3.5mm jack, so you can use that to wire your audio when using the controller. You also have a cell phone mount, and unfortunately, I had one that would work, and I actually ordered another one because I couldn't find it, and it's the one that came bundle and a few easy SMX controllers. And that cell phone mount, I had work on multiple controllers that had this mount. So I ordered a new one. Unfortunately, I don't have it in time for the review, but once I get it, I will put it in the comments as a pinned comment. So if you're trying to get this mount for yourself, I'll let you know if the Easy SMX works. And if it does, of course, I'll put the link so that you can buy one. The Nixie controller also has the same shape, but none of them seems to include the mount. What is up with that, guys? I don't get it. And then of course it comes with its own dock. This dock, which can be used to be plugged to your PC using a USB-A to USB-C cable, and you can also plug your dongle right there. And this dock will serve as an antenna. The data from the dongle will be sent to your PC. Not every dock do that. This one does. And then of course you can just sit the controller like so. Very easy to sit in and out. The base is metallic, the rest is plastic. Overall, a very nice feeling dock, very sturdy, and you have these anti-skid surfaces, so it's not gonna slide. Now, another thing about this controller, and the funny thing is I did the entire benchmarking portion without even realizing that this was part of this controller. It also has hair triggers. And it's so easy to miss because you look at the back of this controller and you would think, oh, okay, there's 2 extra paddles, but there's no hair triggers. Well, here's the catch. Right here, there's this little slot. I can actually put my nail in it, and there's this little pin right there that you can push to the side. And once you do, you have an actual button hair trigger. This is not software corrected. This is an actual button. And if I go to the other side, you can see that there's no clicks at all. The face buttons are micro switch, feel very, very nice. Again, very much like the Khaled, they have the exact same feel. And when looking at the D-pad, and I'll be the first to say, when it comes to D-pads, I'm usually not a big fan of GameSir's offerings. There are a few exceptions, and the Khaled is definitely one of them. And I'm so happy that they have put this D-pad on this controller. It's a very good D-pad for fighters. It has a few caveats, which we'll talk about during the test portion. It is definitely in the upper echelon of any D-pad that you can find from GameSir's controllers in general. So that is definitely a win for all my D-pad lovers out there. They've put something good in this one. Now, it's not membrane. It is tactile, but it's a tactile that feels like a micro switch. And I talked about that during the Khaled review. I don't know if they use the same promotional material. I'll put it up on screen if they do, but they used to call it cushion tactile button, which really actually feels like a micro switch. It's pretty interesting, but at least according to their material, it is a tactile button and not so much a micro switch. It just feels like one. Of course, the sticks we talked about TMR so that we can just move forward, but yeah, very good feeling stick. The tension, I'll put it on screen right about now. For the most part, I am super happy with how they feel. Very good stick, and we'll talk about it during the test portion. Oh my lord. All right, I don't want to get ahead of myself. For the ones who've been watching my channel for a while, you can tell when I'm like overexcited over a product. Yeah, this is it. This controller does have gyro, and at this point in time, if you were to play with this controller on a Nintendo Switch, gyro is going to work just fine. If you use the Nintendo Switch mode on the PC, gyro is going to work just fine on Steam Input, for example. And for what little I've seen, this is a great implementation of gyro. However, on the software, redirecting your gyro to your sticks like you can do with the Tarantula Pro, for example, at this point in time, as of the making of this review, this feature is currently grayed out and it says that it's coming soon. Honestly, this is a great thing because as much as I love the Tarantula Pro, when it comes to their gyro implementation, they are good, but there's better. Big one, Blitz 2 comes to mind. So I'm hoping that the reason why it's not available is because they're tweaking the app so that we really have the best implementation, at least that we've seen thus far from GameSir. It's okay that you have competitors that do it better, but I would hope that they can improve the gyro experience with the Cyclone 2. And who knows, maybe with the Tarantula Pro as well. We'll see. But for now, that feature is to come, but is not currently available at the time of making this review. So if you wonder why I haven't tested, that is why. Now it does have rumble. Rumble is in the grips only. It doesn't have rumble in the triggers like the G7s and the Khaled and all these other Xbox licensed controller. And that's probably the reason why, right? This is not a licensed controller for Xbox. It will not work wireless on Xbox. This is really a PC and every other else controller. So while you do have rumble and the rumble implementation is great, it is on par with the first party rotary motors that we see. Just the series controller still uses that rumble. Absolutely fine, if not HD. And we're finally at the part of this review where you're gonna know why I'm this excited. Let's go talk about software, testing, and pulling rate, all the good stuff. First off, allow me to show you just how smooth and precise these sticks can operate. It's phenomenal to see that on a non-ALPS stick. My first run, very simple, straight to the point. I shattered any previous record I did with a controller, and I was expecting good. I was not expecting this good. And the second round, I did as good. In the third round, I did as good. So let me just say it straight. This is the best stick I've ever seen on a controller. Now, when talking about the D-pad, it is also the best D-pad I've seen from GameSir. Is there D-pads that I prefer when it comes to fighting? Absolutely, but this one is fine. Now, one thing is there is no hitting adjacent arrows from one arrow. You know, when you kind of rock your D-pad back and forth, you will not hit an adjacent arrow. Personally, I like when there's a little bit of it. I find that it makes platforming a little smoother when going, for example, from pushing down to pushing to the right. Now, this doesn't have it at all. So if you are playing games that requires a lot of jumping from a straight direction to a diagonal, that might not be the best D-pad for that. Then again, there are D-pads that are too aggressive when doing that jumping from adjacent arrows. This also will definitely not be the case here. So depending on what you're looking for and what you prefer, your mileage may vary. I, for one, like a little bit, but here there's none at all. So at least it doesn't impact the input command, which is what I'm happy to see. It was really smooth in Street Fighter. And to get into performance, I can't speak highly enough of the stick's beautiful curve, amazing performance. There are 0-axis snapping. You can change from raw input to circle input. There is some snapback, so if that's important, you know, if you're trying to get this for Smash, this is something you may want to consider. There's definitely snapback on the sticks, but as far as everything else goes, it's beautiful. You have great step resolution as well, and they mention it in their marketing material. It's a 12-bit stick, and it shows. As for pulling rate, you get 1000 Hz wired and dongle, and look how stable it is throughout the modes. It doesn't matter that you're on Xbox mode, PS mode, or Nintendo Switch mode, you're getting that 1000 Hz. And on Bluetooth, you're getting close to that 500 Hz. So overall, extremely steady across the board, great performance. I don't test latency, but there was nothing wrong perceptible. To me, it felt extremely responsive and a great experience overall. The app GameSir Connect can be acquired on the Windows Store, and it's the same as the Tarantula Pro. At the splash screen, you can do a bunch of edits. You have your firmware update, you can reset the default, you can test your buttons, and then the last button will get you back to home. So we'll go through each one of them one by one, but also before we do, you have a bunch of shortcuts that you can do on the controller. I'll put them on screen. I invite you to pause and grab whichever you need, but it's also available on the manual supplied with the controller as well as the e-manual available online. You can change the report rate of your controller, and if you go into lights, you can change a bunch of settings, and each of the different LEDs are addressable. The stripes around the sticks, around the logo, and even that little button. And each number corresponds to the type of LED, and you can adjust to the color that you like. You can also make profiles. You have different presets. It's an extremely addressable RGB solution that you have on this controller. And whatever you see on the app is happening real time in the controller. When looking at vibration, you can also address your left and right grip. They all have a different type of vibration because they don't have the same amount of discs, which actually is reflected in the app. When talking about your triggers, you can address the dead zone, you can address the curve, you can address the inner and outer dead zone. And I now understand what the adaptive trigger to be. What the adaptive trigger is you can push down your trigger and you can keep mashing it as if you were trying to push the button again. It won't require that you push it all the way back up to be able to trigger it again. That would be useful if you want to manually rapid fire a gun in a game, for example. And then of course you can have it fixed if you prefer and just action it whenever you feel like it. Then you have the sticks, where you can address the curve, the dead zones. You can make your own curve if you want. You can address the inner and outer dead zone. You can also change your stick trajectory or the input method from circle to raw. You can use advanced mapping to address your Y and X axis. And then when looking at buttons, you can really map anything from mouse keys, keyboard keys, numeric keypad. You can do multiple buttons at once. So for example, here, if I do Control Alt Delete, I can trigger it at the push of a button. Now you can also record macros. You can address your timings. There's really nothing you can't do with this controller. And that sums up the software. Let's start heading towards the end of this video. Absolutely wow. And you saw the charts, how consistent that it was. It doesn't matter. This controller doesn't care. You're going to get the same performance across the board. And we haven't seen that, at least I haven't seen that in any other controllers prior. Usually, depending on the modes, you would have slight variation in performance. Here, you don't. It's the same no matter what. So you can really go for whatever works best without having to compromise performance. And that is chef's kiss. To me, this is what this controller is. This is a major to all those companies out there. And that's not to say that no other companies make a great product, but GameSir once again is just kicking through the doors and just saying, hey, like, you may want to try to compete, but we'll do it better. And this controller is here to emphasize that statement. I also think, and GameSir probably wouldn't want me to say this, but I don't care. I also think that this is a major to Microsoft, because the gamers that love the G7 SE, love the G7 HE, have been wanting for so long, so long to find a freaking controller that works on Xbox and is wireless, but it hasn't happened yet. And I don't think this is a GameSir decision. I think this is a Microsoft decision. Of course, I'm not in those meetings. I don't know what is said, but it makes no sense considering the speed, the pace at which GameSir is able to drop better and better and better products, that they wouldn't have released a wireless controller for Xbox. So Microsoft, Xbox team, whoever takes care of these things, if for some reason you see this face and you see this review, give GameSir a license to have a wireless controller on Xbox. Why has this not happened? This is absolutely killer. This product would sell hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. This would blow the roof off. I'm sorry. I need to calm down, because that wasn't the conclusion. All right, I'm sorry. Let's get back to business. This is the price. That is what games. This is the Nova Lite all over again, because we have to understand, when the Nova Lite came out, it was like, whoa, controllers at $30 US are not supposed to be this good. This is the controller that is not allowed to be this good. It completely redefines everything I know on this wall. I'm getting chills right now. My hair is like, you get into a market, you study the market, and there's a concept that is old like forever, which is inflation. GameSir is completely going against the current. There's a river, it goes in that direction, and here you have tadpole GameSir that is just swimming like a salmon upstream and just like showing everybody, no, 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 follow me. This is the way. I don't even know how I'm going to edit this part. Oh, man. I shouldn't say all these things because then I feel like I need to have an editing to match it. Anyways. Okay, do I have cons? Yes, I have cons. It's a noisy controller. Okay, let me not make no mistakes. This is not the kind of controller that you can play with next to your spouse sleeping because it's a noisy one. You hear a lot of click clacks.
Click clack, clickety clack.
Number 2, the cable not braided. I mean, considering the price point, I feel like I'm insulting GameSir for making that a con, but I mean, it's not braided. So technically that could be a negative, and that's it. So before my conclusion, there is one thing I need to show you guys. After I received the Cyclone, I actually purchased this controller not knowing what it was. And as it turns out, this is another Cyclone from Red Magic. There you go. I mean, even the packaging looks about the same. It really is the same dock, same dongle, but that one is not see-through. And then the controller. Oh, which makes me think, one big upgrade from the Khaled with the Cyclone is, as much as I like the shell of this design, it scratches very easy. That's definitely one thing with the Khaled, it scratches very easy. Whereas this one, it's kind of frosted, you see through it, it's very nice looking. When it comes to the actual ribbed texture that you have on the front, in the back, it feels very, very nice. You have it a little up top here as well, so if you like to sit your fingers there, or maybe if you like to claw, that could potentially give you a little control point. It's a very nice feeling controller. That one seems to borrow the shell of the Khaled. In fact, it seems to be almost identical, even down to the dots. Look at that. And it has the same mechanism for the hair trigger, but here's the catch. This one does not have TMR sticks, or at least it's not listed. So I don't think I'm going to be making a review about this one. I don't even know that I want to bother testing the sticks. It's literally a rebranded, not as good Cyclone 2. Yeah, it has the phone mount. Do they include the phone mount? Especially since they're a phone company. Man, they don't even include the... Oh, but they gave a braided cable. Oh, it's not a nice braided one, though. It's one of the stiffs braided. Red Magic should have included that phone mount, if being honest. Anyways, you know, if for some reason you saw this one and you were like, oh, wow, Red Magic got a new controller. Yeah, don't buy this. Buy the Cyclone 2 instead. Here's my conclusion. Buy this. And a story. You need to buy this. Because this is by far... And look... Yes, some controllers have 2000 Hertz polling rate. Yes, these two controllers have the best gyro that I've tested in any third-party controllers to date. But if we think of a package deal, if we think of an offering, if we think of everything that encompasses a product, and you, the user, taking advantage of the tools that are given to you, there is not a single controller. And you can say, oh, well, you say that too often. What can I say? Blame GameSir, don't blame me. They're the ones who made it. There is not a single controller that I would put ahead of this one. And yes, that includes my very dear to my heart PS5 Hex Gaming controller. I love the Hex Gaming, and it's still to this day the best PS5 controller in my opinion. But if I'm playing on PC, it even pains me to say, because I'm really enjoying the Tarantula Pro, and it has a lot of great things about it. HD rumble and, you know, the plethora of buttons. But if I'm aiming in any capacity, this is the benchmark. This is what I'm going for. Bars none. That controller, the sticks... Maybe it's the shape, because as much as I praise the Tarantula Pro, I have always said, if I have to pick, I'm going to go with an asymmetrical layout. But I still can enjoy a symmetrical layout. I can do both. But if I'm playing for myself, I'm enjoying and I'm trying to aim, and I get to choose between the two, I would tend to favor asymmetrical. That's me. So maybe it's just that it's asymmetrical, but I don't think it is. I really think GameSir continued to tweak their baseline settings on the Cyclone 2. Because to me, those sticks are better than the Torrential Pro, which was pretty much the best in TMR. Very, very, very close to it. You had the Blitz 2. And these sticks are so good, guys. Like, ALPS is done. I don't want ALPS in my life anymore. If I can have those sticks, I don't want ALPS. It is over. Over. Anyways. All right, guys. At this point, I'm just ranting on. Because I'm shocked. I am genuinely shocked. GameSir, you did it. Oh my God, GameSir. Right, so here's what needs to happen before I end this video. GameSir, please take what you've learned here, take this, and now we need a telescopic controller with this and a cooler. Like all of this, you know, like maybe 4 buttons. I don't know. All right. Thank you very much for clicking and watching the video, guys. As always, please consider doing all the YouTube things. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.